Hi, friends. More Gateway stuff today. Let's talk about the preparatory process. Now, this is the process you get started at. It's always at the beginning of all of your meditations, and it's super important. And I'd like to just share my perspectives on each one of them and why I think they're important. This is not Monroe material. I'm not a teacher. This is just my personal perspective, and I'm hoping it'll be helpful for some. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is getting into a relaxed state. This is usually representative of the crashing wave sound. I think Bob Monroe thought crashing waves on a shore would be a very relaxing sound, and I think he's right. The whole idea here is to kind of start getting yourself into that whole body asleep, mind awake thing, which means you need to remove any attention from your body. And pretty much every meditative state, every meditative system I've ever been a part of or been exposed to, all has this part is getting relaxed. That one's an easy one, simple, easy peasy. The next one, which I think is arguably the most important or second most important, depending on your perspective, just for me, is the energy conversion box. Now, the idea behind the energy conversion box is this box that you create in your mind to put any distracting thoughts or feelings into so that you can get into your meditation. The reason why this is so important to me is that the biggest obstacle I had to getting into meditation in the beginning, like prior to ever being exposed to Monroe, was my brain would never shut off. It was constantly, oh, I got to do this. I got to remember to go there. I got to do this thing. Oh, I totally forgot that thing. I need to call that person. Like, it's constantly on, always, always, always going. Because I don't know if you can relate. And this solves that problem. And again, you just create this box, and it can be whatever you want. Mine's a little bit crazy. Maybe I'll do a video in the future as to how crazy mine is, but it does essentially the same thing that everybody's does, and that is this box to put any thoughts, any feelings, any things that might distract you from your meditation. So it might be, oh, I've got that appointment tomorrow, put that in there. Oh, I've got so much going on at work tomorrow, put that in there. Oh, this conversation I had with Max 5 years ago, whatever, put that in there. And then I have fairly recently heard somebody say, oh, I put also things like fear, limitation, doubt, worry. I put those things in there as well. And I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. I'm doing it. And so I've done it since. Just kind of this idea of just putting anything that might possibly create a negative experience or a distracting experience. Put all of those things in the energy conversion box. And then, and the idea is, especially if it's like a negative thing that you don't want, the idea is that it'll convert it to positivity and positive energy and that sort of thing. So that's the idea behind that thing. And Bob will tell you once you're done putting in there, close the lid and turn around. And then you're good. And now you're free. And it's remarkable how well it works. Like, as soon as I turn around, I'm like, it's quiet in here. Like, all of it stopped. It's amazing. Now, I will say one little thing about my personal energy conversion box that I did, and I heard other people do this as well, is I put this like suction mechanism on the front of it so that as we go past the preparatory process, if other thoughts come in, I literally flick it with my mind towards my energy conversion box and it sucks it right in. So I just do that. As soon as something comes in, I'm like, and away it goes. So energy conversion box, I think is super, super important. Let me know what you think of it. Next one is the resonant tuning or breath work. And you'll find, depending on where you are in the tapes, you might actually hear the sounds, the tones as you exhale. Whether you use the tones or not, I think just breath work is super, super important. And again, something you'll find in every meditative process that you find out there outside of Monroe is really pulling energy into your head and getting stale energy out of your body. That's what Monroe coaches on. And I think it's super, super important. I think if you skip that part, especially if you're a person who might have a tendency to fall asleep during meditations, I would say go back to that and do a really intentional job of pulling energy up from your body into your mind, energy from your body into your mind, and doing that like intentionally to where your mind gets there. Super important. Don't skip that. Now, the next one, which I think is probably the most important, that or the energy conversion box for me at least, is the resonant energy balloon or reball. And the idea here is that you are kind of creating this energetic shell around you, this shield, if you will, or shell or ball or balloon that contains your vibrant, happy, joyous, love-filled energy in kind of this encasing and keeps any unwanted energies out. And this allows you, especially if you're a type of person who's very trepidatious about getting into these meditations, and you've heard all kinds of nightmare stories of like, oh, you don't want to do that, you're going to invite these negative forces or negative energies into you. This, I think, really, really, really helps. You can do this reball thing, and it gets deeper than this. I'm not going to get into how deep the reball is. I will cover videos on the other things you can do with it, but just allowing you to get into a meditative state and allowing you to feel strong and secure and solid as you go explore these higher states of consciousness. I think it's game changing. Like, you have to have it. There are folks that are like, oh yeah, I would not do it without it. So, and I agree. So that's the reball. And then last is just setting your intentions. And this is done through the statement that he has you go through. It just starts with, I am more than my physical body. I won't say the whole thing. I could, but let's not waste time. That one's really important because it is setting your intention as to what you want to get out of your meditation. And I think that's really important. I was missing this for a long time until I came across Monroe, and like, oh my gosh, you're totally right. I need to set my intentions for what I want to get out of this meditation. And you have to, I think, to get the most out of that piece is you have to really think it and feel it as you kind of in your mind state this statement, so to speak. And then I think it makes it easier to carry you through and accomplish what you want to do in your meditation. And then from there, you're counting up to the various focus levels. So anyway, that's my personal preference, that's my personal opinion on some of the steps. But I'd love to hear for those, there's a bunch of you here in the comments that have started the process. I'd love to hear what you think, what's working, what isn't working. And yeah, we'll go from there. Until then, I love you all.